Lorcana is one of the few card games I've gotten into in the past year, and with the newest set introducing Pixar characters, it's an awesome time to get into the game. And I'm especially excited for Pixar because I want WALL-E. Lorcana is a trading card game that released in August of 2023, and with Lorcana using Disney characters, you're gonna find all sorts of classic characters, like Finnick. Using Disney characters as its main draw, it's no wonder that when it came out, I could not find anything. I thought it was going to become another Pokemon scalper situation, but I mean, nowadays I find it pretty stocked up. Anyways, the game centers around lore, and you need to obtain 20 lore in order to win. And you do this by using a combination of characters, items, action, song, and location cards. Every character card is going to have their play cost, their attack and defense, how much lore they gain from questing, and any abilities that they might have. Item cards stay on the board when you play them, and they provide ongoing effects and abilities depending on the type of item you have. Action cards are a one-time use card that provide immediate effects when you play them and get discarded once the effect's been resolved. Song cards are the same as action cards, but instead of paying the cost, you have the option to have a character sing it in order to use it. Location cards are cards you can play that give your character a place to move, and the cost to do that is indicated with the symbol on the left, as well as their defense/willpower on the right, and the amount of lore that it gives you at the start of your turn if the location is still in play, and any abilities that the location might have. Now, to get started playing, you're going to need at least a 60 card deck, and I say at least because apparently there is no maximum card limit you can have in a deck. It seems like we might have another Yu-Gi-Oh! Limousine situation, you know. But yeah, a 60 card deck and up to 2 ink types. Amber is one of the most supportive inks with cards that remove damage, like Ohana Means Family, and abilities that prevent other characters from getting attacked, like Bodyguard. It's an ink that focuses on teamwork, but Amber does tend to have a lower attack stat as opposed to its defense. Amethyst plays around banishing cards and triggering effects when characters leave play, like Anna being able to shift onto a better card for no cost if somebody took a card from their discard, or Pot of Honey that prevents your opponent from being able to ready on their next turn if you banish it. Although a very strong deck with effects, its attack and defense aren't the best. Emerald has a lot of effects involving your hand either returning cards to your hand or forcing your opponents to discard a card, like Megara forcing your opponent to discard a card if she's challenged, or Trust in Me that just lets you decide whether you want to make your opponents discard 2 cards or lose an attack. It's a good ink if you enjoy getting the upper hand by disrupting your opponent as opposed to straight attacking. Ruby is all about damage, cards with high attack power with abilities that provide additional strength or effects based on your strength, like Ralph gaining strength for each card underneath him, and Force of a Great Typhoon that provides 5 whole strength. Jesus, imagine doing all that to a Finnick. Although having really good power is nice, you gotta be careful because if your opponent is packing cards with evasive, they're gonna be useless. Sapphire likes to build up ink in the inkwell with cards like Bell that allow you to put banished cards in your inkwell. Sapphire tends to work with a lot of items as well, with microbots letting you have as many microbots as you want, while also decreasing your opponent's strength depending on how many you have. It's the perfect ink type if you enjoy decks that involve setups and traps. Steel focuses on willpower, your defense, as well as dealing direct damage to your opponents as opposed to building up strength to do so. Like Angel, who gains 2 resist if you don't have any cards, while also being able to discard a card to deal 2 damage, and cards like Steel Chromicon that lets you exert it to deal 1 damage. At the start of the match, each player draws 7 cards. If you don't like some of the cards in your hand, you can put those cards at the bottom of your deck, and then draw new cards, and then shuffle. If you're going first, you do not draw a card on this turn. You'll notice that your inkwell has no ink. You can put a card face down into your inkwell to gain 1 ink. You can only do this once per turn unless stated otherwise by effects. The cards you can ink will be indicated by the golden swirl around the play cost. You can't ink the ones without it, so with 1 ink to work with, you can either play a 1 cost card or pass your turn. If you choose to play a card, make sure to exert the amount of ink it took to play it. When you play a character, it can't be used on that same turn. You gotta wait until it's finished drawing, which means you just have to wait until your next turn in order to use them. Alright, so your opponent finished their turn, you would draw a card, turn any cards from the exerted position to the ready, and do the same to your ink. You can play any amount of characters, items, actions, or songs as long as you have the ink for it. If you want to use a character, you'll have to exert it. You can only exert it once unless stated otherwise by effects, so think carefully about which action you want to take with it. Some cards allow you to exert it to activate an ability, ability, you can exert it to quest and gain lore, or you can challenge your opponent's characters. You can only challenge characters who are also exerted, unless, once again, stated otherwise by effects. When challenging a character, you're going to look at the strength and willpower. Even if you're the one challenging, your character still takes damage from the opposing character's strength. And so having 20 lore as a goal does offer a really nice incentive to not just focus on being stronger than your opponent, but also thinking about the most optimal way to reach that. And that's pretty much the overview on it. There's a lot more that goes on once you start introducing more abilities and actions, but the most fun part about Lorcana to me is the multiplayer. It's meant for 2, but the game allows for up to 4 players at once, which you might even see on some of the cards that say stuff like Aladdin, each opponent loses 2 lore. And there's products like Jafar's Ring that plays like a PvE. The cards themselves are also just as cool, giving characters alternate universe designs, resulting in stuff like a wizard poo, Ariel as a warrior, and mini cave diving. It's just so awesome to me, and I love it when franchises allow their characters to experiment with different ideas and designs. On top of the amazing artwork, they even feature the artist in the card. That's right, Disney. We're gonna catch you if you start using AI. If you don't have a local card shop near you, unfortunately, as of right now, there's no official way to play online. There's a website called Duels Inc. that allows you to play online, but the only other way I can think of is through Discord, but who wants to use Discord? Ugh. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, because I do really like talking about card games and just giving a brief overview of what I think it's like. But yeah, if there's any other card games you want me to check out, or if you want to tell me what kind of decks you're running, feel free to leave them in the comments below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one, and hopefully it won't take me months.